It is 4:22:22.
It's 444 actually. 4, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2.
Okay. That's Pablo telling us the date. And here's Lori. And coming over here, our fearless leader, getting her stuff all situated.
Loading the route at the last minute.
Loading the route at the last minute. That's all right, because we got Joe here, who's the tech guy, and
Cold, so.
here's Tom. I'm sorry, Mark, and Jeanette.
Uh-oh, Joe.
And we're having some technical difficulties, but that's all right. Please stand by. This is going to be Grants Pass 4:22:22. First rest stop after the start. Yeah. Yeah. So Lori, what are you thinking so far of this ride?
I think it's awesome. Sun's best when the sun is out.
Yes, definitely best when the sun is out. Though it is a little chilly. I don't know exactly what the temperature is. Here's the background. It's a pretty nice rest stop. Probably the cleanest rest stop I've ever seen. So, and around. Got the bikes.
You guys ready?
Captain saying we gotta go.
No, I'm on a rip. Sorry for whoever's behind me.
Okay. All right, so we've reached the coast. Yeah. And there are all the bikes. And here's Pablo. What's happening, Pablo?
Hey, how's it going? Having a good time here.
Awesome, awesome. So you're thinking the ride is good so far?
Absolutely. The ride's great. It was a little bit cool earlier today, not too bad. Yesterday we got a little bit of rain, which was unfortunate, but it wasn't real bad. I mean, it was good, and the day's getting better. So
excellent. So we'll continue on. Actually, you know what? This is great. I'm gonna get video of this.
Chicken shit. No.
Careful.
I want to go to the edge. Are you crazy?
No, that's fine. That's close enough.
Now, I want y'all to know that I will ride a mountain road and take a curve at 65 miles an hour, but I will want to sit on a tree log.
All right.
I know, because I'm a chicken shit.
grip, son.
Super careful.
What we all need to do is sit down and pose like pinups.
Joe doesn't want to get his pants wet.
She's right behind you.
Huh?
Well, I don't want you. I want you in the picture. I don't want you. You can see me because I can.
Oh, he's in the picture. Everybody's in the picture so far.
They need to put like netting over here so you can just. They need to just come up here and hammer up a railing.
You know, to be fair, only drunk people do this probably. Careful. Hi, this is my debrief, if you will, of the Battleborn Harley-Davidson Carson City, Nevada H.O.G chapter ride to Grants Pass, Oregon, which was not just Grants Pass, Oregon. We actually went from Reno, we left from Reno, to Grants Pass, Oregon, then through Avenue of the Giants, Highway 101, Highway 1, to Clear Lake, California, and then ultimately back to Reno, Nevada. So weather conditions from Reno to Grants Pass, Oregon, we basically got to see the seasons change. So we got to see some cold when we started, rain, a little bit of snow, though it didn't stick, still kind of freaks you out a little bit. More cold, and ultimately we ended up at Grants Pass, Oregon. We stayed at the Riverside Inn. I highly recommend it. It was a great place, and if I ever go back to Grants Pass, Oregon, that is definitely where I'm going to stay. The people were very friendly, very accommodating. Somebody lost, or they booked their stay there through a online site, and they never got the reservations. If you're going to book online, either book through the place themselves or use something reputable like booking.com, Expedia, or something like that. Apparently a lot of the other online booking sites are actually owned by them too. So I didn't know that, but come to find out from talking to the desk person at Riverside Inn, she made me aware of that. This is not a sales pitch for any of those things. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. So, moving on, because of weather conditions and whatnot, you got to be careful with situations like sudden stops and that kind of thing. Leave yourself plenty of room. Even in a group ride, you can leave yourself a little bit of extra room if you need it. The ride, even though we hit weather and whatnot, was beautiful. I just would have enjoyed it more if the weather was a little bit better. That being said, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a fair weather rider. Sorry about that. I'm not into the rain. I'm not into the snow. I mean, some people, they love it. I'm not one of those people. So, that being said, anyway, moving on. Riverside Inn, also come to find out that if your bike gets really dirty from the ride and you go to a hotel, a lot of places would prefer that you use some cleaning rags and just ask them for them rather than use the hotel towels. Please don't use the hotel towels. Don't be that person, okay? Try to ask them for some cleaning rags. They were more than accommodating with that, and I was able to clean the bike. While cleaning the bike, even though a lot of people don't bother with that, I was able to see that my exhaust had come loose. Luckily I had tools, more on that later, and I was able to tighten up the bike. If I had not cleaned it, I may not have realized that that was a problem and may have lost part of my exhaust system somewhere on the road. So if you're not one of those people that likes to clean your bike during a road trip because you think it's pointless because it's just going to get dirty again, that's cool. Me, I like to get some of that dirt off, and in this situation, it actually helped me avoid losing parts. The room and everything was great. The next leg of the trip was from Grants Pass, Oregon to Clear Lake, California. I grew up in the Napa area, so I'm fairly familiar with Clear Lake, even though I haven't been there in a long time. We ended up staying at a place called the Lamplighter. It wasn't a bad spot to stay, but there was some questionable characters around the area, and when you're talking about bringing one of these things that, you know, they're pretty pricey, and you spend a lot of money on all the extra stuff, you don't want people taking your stuff. So the one thing I will say about Lamplighter is if you're gonna stay there and you're packing a bunch of stuff on your bike, at the very least, make sure it's locked down. If not, bring everything in to the hotel room with you. Yeah, it sucks getting everything off the bike, but it sucks even more if somebody else did it for you and you didn't know. So that's the deal with that. It is a beautiful place, Clear Lake. You know, there was some nice people there. In fact, one guy, going back to that leaving stuff on the bike or whatever, something had fallen off a bike, and a guy walked by and picked it up and took it with him. Another guy who had no idea who we were saw that happen, got the things back, and brought them back to us because that was the right thing that he felt he needed to do. So I don't know that you'll see this, but thanks, Dominic. We appreciate it. The weather didn't improve by the time that we left Clear Lake. So much so that we didn't need the heated gear. More on that later. And we were able to really enjoy that portion of the ride. With the weather improvements, that section of riding was okay for somebody who's maybe a little new to riding and group riding. So we went there, kind of early spring kind of weather, we went from Clear Lake to Reno. So this was the last leg, basically, of the trip. It was pretty scenic. I'd done some of that leg before. Very beautiful, curvy roads, and okay for somebody who's a new rider. So overall, good things about the trip. Loved the view, loved Avenue of the Giants. It was definitely breathtaking. Bad things, I'm not into the weather thing. And sometimes by this point, when people are tired, you know, they get a little cranky. That's me too. Wasn't able to get my normal coffee that I like, speaking of which. And that can definitely wear on you. So, there we go. Technical difficulties from somebody who never films themselves, doesn't like cameras, and yet I'm still doing this because I think it's important for people to know about these experiences that I had with riding, should you yourself want to go on a ride. So the next section is packing and planning. I had some tools. I bought some Harbor Freight, you know, nothing that's too expensive just in case something happens, but they were definitely handy to have. Initially I thought I overpacked for tools. I talked to at least one other person about what they brought. They didn't bring nearly the amount of stuff that I brought. But these were the things that made me feel comfortable that I had enough things to address if I had an issue with my bike. Harley Davidson now uses not just standard, but they use metric, they use bolts, Allen wrenches, those torque star things. So I try to bring a little bit of everything. You're not going to have everything, all the tools you could possibly need for anything major like mechanical breakdown, tire change, something major like that. But, you know, stuff to get you by for quick tightening up and quick fixes on the road is handy to have. Something that I never thought I would need on a trip, jumper cables. I didn't need them, but someone else ended up needing jumper cables, and thanks to a gentleman that was also staying at the Riverside Inn, we were able to address that situation that a battery got low by jumping it from a car. That being said, don't have the car running when you're trying to jump. You can have the car running while it's charging up your battery, but when you're going to actually jump it and turn on the accessories and everything to the bike, it's probably best that the car is not running, and then you start your jump, and hopefully that pans out. The trip had some cold spots, wet spot, you know, rain. So I ended up getting a heated jacket from Nikki. Thanks, Nikki. That jacket literally saved me from the cold. It could have been a really bad ride if you're freezing, and that jacket was not only that, but it was also waterproof, so it kept the rain off of me. So it was a nice thing to have. Even if you think the weather is going to be great, it can turn, especially on a trip where you're going across different areas, different states. Weather can definitely change its pattern. Even when you think that it's going to be clear, it could still rain. So be prepared for a long trip, and bring warm weather and rain gear if possible. The other thing that can be a challenge sometimes is if you have a smaller bike with a smaller fuel tank. Somebody that went on the trip with us, they had a Sportster, and they had literally half a tank, I think, than what I had, because by the time that I would get to about halfway, they were ready to look for a fuel station. So plan accordingly if you're somebody that has a smaller bike. Doesn't mean you can't make the trip. She made the trip just fine. You know, but just be aware of that. They do sell specific fuel cans for bikes that you can put in your saddlebag. I don't have one of those, but there was 2 other people at least on our trip that had them. So that being said, the last thing I guess I will say, maybe, unless I think of something else, is this trip was a lot of fun. A lot of different arrays of emotion that occurred during the entire trip. But between all the bikes, I think we had everything that everybody needed. You know, whether it was tools or extra fuel or snacks, because sometimes people get hungry. So everybody pulling together for that was pretty awesome. And really, that's why I'm in the Battleborn chapter of H.O.G. It's in my area, but also because you get to meet people and you guys are all enjoying the same things and that kind of thing. That's the whole point, is you go riding, you meet people that are enjoying the same things, you have a good time, some, you know, life experiences. Some are good, some are bad. Sometimes you learn the hard way about certain things, but you learn. So if you're part of a riding chapter, go on the rides. You don't have to do those big ones yet, you know. Do the smaller ones, get to know your bike, get some experience in riding in the group, get your learning curves out of the way. But make the time to do the bigger rides. They're definitely fun, they're interesting, and be ready for things to not go according to plan. For example, GPS not working, wants to take you down this dirt road because the GPS for some reason thinks that that's the way to the highway, but it's not. Those kind of things happen. You know, no one can plan for every possible contingency that could happen on the roadway. And you know, that's really all I got to say about that. Just be prepared. Know yourself, know your bike. And even if you think you know yourself and know your bike and know your ability to be able to ride, longer trips are definitely going to challenge that, both mentally and physically. So be ready for that. And otherwise, you know, just keep the rubber side down, enjoy the ride, and have a good time.